need to seriously bounce back now.
Decimation is the only word to summarize what was a very one-sided game. And remember, this is Vici against OMG. The last place we expected a one-sided game was Vici taking the first game of the series, but OMG, now on blue side, really need to reevaluate the strategy. It did not feel like Juggermore fit this team at all.
Oh no, and they have changed it up quite a lot, banning Azir and Rek'Sai away from Vici Gaming. Dandy and Hatong, a fantastic duo, especially in that mid lane. And Cool, he couldn't do anything for the first half of that game.
I mean, Cool's Zed left a lot to be desired at minimum. It was just a very weak peak in the end. I like it against the Azir in lane, but with all these bans that come through, they had to ban away the Arya and Veigar. Last ban is the respect ban towards Uzi. Kassadin makes it through bans and picks.
Yeah, Kassadin going into the hands of either Cool or Going here. Dandy looking at a Mordekaiser, taunting me a little bit. My all-time favorite champion. Probably not going to
do some power farming in the jungle, you know?
Oh, that'd be so good. His shield isn't that bad. Let's not talk about it. Let's just not talk about it. I do love me some Mordekaiser, though. The Thresh would not surprise me at all, as Marta was fantastic on that champion. Dandy looking at the horse here for potentially a pickup for carry, but could actually be going into his hands as well. OMG now with a lot more opportunities here as well. The likes of Rumble are still available for Going. Lots of things there still left up. Jarvan also there for Loveling if he wants to pick that one up again. He's going to hover it. Of course, didn't have a fantastic experience in the last game, but see what he does decide to go with.
Some fun hovers coming through. The Hecarim, a flex pick, you know, top or jungle. We've seen success in the jungle for both Clearlove and Insect, and in the top lane for a load of people. And the Graves is locked in for Uzi.
Yeah, but Lissandra now going to get a look at.
And this is a Lissandra
Gaming grabbing it.
And it fell through the picks and bans last time. We actually haven't seen a Lissandra all night. She's been falling through the priority, but at least it might be the mid or top lane pickup coming through for Vici.
Yeah, and Vasily. Ooh. That's interesting, but they're trolling us a little bit with the hovers here, I'm not going to lie to you, but 10 seconds to go, and these look to be what Vici Gaming have decided upon. It's going to be the lock-in of the Lissandra. No surprises there, as Hatong has had some fantastic performances on that champion. Cloud now going to yet again lock away the Janna. And Uzi, he already has his Graves, but where is that Kassadin going? Is it going to be for Cool? Or is it going to be Going there in the top lane?
And the lane matchup against Lissandra is fine. Of course, they don't know where the Lissandra's going, so they're going to have to make an educated guess. And look what we end up with. It's Cool on LeBlanc. It's not the Ahri, but the LeBlanc, another one of Cool's strong assassin champions.
Yeah, and we'll see whether Hatong has his finger on the... twitching his finger there on the Ring of Frost to try and lock down that distorting LeBlanc coming in. But not sure whether that's even going to be the matchup, as Carry can pick that one up in the top lane if he wants to.
It could be a top, a mid, even a jungle locked in at last pick. They have so much flexibility in their comp with what they want to go for.
We'll see. Marta actually taking a while, not going to be picking up any interesting hovers, although Riven may not be exactly what gets locked in.
Won't it?
Oh, what? Okay. Okay. Spirit, is that you?
I don't think it's going to be the jungle Riven coming through. There's the potential, but with the teleport smite, that probably suggests to us going to be an Insect impression from Dandy. And what do you have to say about Riven top against Kassadin?
Look, that's why I'm not an analyst, because I have nothing to say about this match. Both of them get shields, but Kassadin's doesn't work.
Well, I mean, it doesn't work so well against the magic damage of Riven, which is nothing.
That's what I meant, yeah.
So it's not the Ignite Riven, so he hasn't gone all in on trying to control the top lane, but you have to think, pre-6, this Kassadin can't walk anywhere near the minion wave whatsoever. Going to struggle in lane. This is definitely going for lane supremacy completely. This is a carry top lane, it's aptly named, but it's risky, because of course Riven in late game teamfights does struggle unless you get significant snowball in lane.
Yeah, and significant snowball might be the aim of the game here, as we might have the horse visiting that top lane quite often here to take advantage, especially early on, of Going's lack of mobility in that lane. Sort of he's just a slow Kassadin. Can't be rift walking in and out of anything early on in this game, but quite scary. Cloud and Marta just back on the same champions. Marta looked fantastic on that Thresh. I still just don't understand that pick off onto Uzi there with his death sentence in the jungle. It was beautiful in the last game. We'll see whether he has a repeat performance here. But now Uzi has all of that early game pressure on this Graves. Has been answered by Vasili's very comfortable Corki. Of course, loves that champion. But let's hop onto the Rift, ladies and gentlemen, and see whether OMG can actually fight back against Vici Gaming. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, with Vici Gaming taking on OMG for our last game of the night. Vici coming out super strong in the first match. And OMG now trying to answer back. They have some power picks. Cool, definitely on a comfort champion here in the mid lane. We'll see whether that last game sort of got under the skin of OMG here, of course. A veteran team, but man, that last game was brutal.
So let's dissect how Vici Gaming liked to play. It was on full display in the last series. What we saw was aggressive rotations. That game with their Graves, trying to take the outer ring of turrets. I believe they had it down around 10 minutes into the game. It was a very early outer ring of turrets, and that rotational play into early aggression is what we've seen consistently from Vici. That's why we see the Riven. It's a fantastic laning matchup against the Cassian. So they're going to want to try and recreate that. Get as many turrets early as possible, but they have a farming jungle this time. The jungle pressure coming out of a Hecarim, specifically a Hecarim with teleport, is low. Just because, again, you go for a risky engage, the counter gank comes through from leveling on the skirmish-focused Jarvan. You only have teleport to escape. You don't have as many defensive options, so it's risky to visit lanes. So I'm surprised to see a passive jungler with perhaps the most aggressive top laner you could choose in Riven. I mean, Riven versus Cassian, very strong, but Riven in a lane swap struggles. And in the 1v1 against Cassian, can expect a lot of help from leveling in that lane going. The jungle follows on. They're going to try and get the lanes up, but no, it's been answered. Smart answer from Vici. The duos meet in the top.
Yeah, beautiful work here. Of course, both of these teams scoping each other out. We'll see. I'm not actually entirely sure who went for this lane. Oh, there's the play onto Uzi, though. Buckshot comes through, but Vasili getting a lot of damage back with that Phosphorus Bomb. Both AD carries taking a lot of damage here, forced to use those potions very early on.
Look, if you have a Riven, you're looking for the 1v1. And you have to say, and if you're swapping on blue side especially, you're the one initiating the lane swap, you'd have to think. It's a great answer from Vici, and they get the lane matchup they're looking for, but you know that Loveling's pick portrait is going to be hovering down bottom lane this whole game.
Yeah, well, that's right, and you can see, started up already. The level 2 gank potentially on here in the bottom side as Carry. Can he use that Broken Wings in order to get himself to safety? And Loveling not able to find the first gank attempt, and he is going to give up on this attempt just for now. As Cool going to dodge out of the way of that Q very nicely.
Actually, a very smart ward. I believe it was a 3-minute ward placed at the Dragon. That did spot out Jarvan. So they're expecting already Vici. It's a nice metagame thought to expect the camp coming down bottom. They enter lane again, but these are the trades that going. This is not much he can do.
Yeah, that's true, and I love this Doran Shield pickup here as well from Carry. It nullifies a lot of that Null Sphere damage as well, just because it does take off 8 damage of the single target spells at the same time. Really, really nice pickup from Carry. As going sort of relegated to farming with that Q.
I mean, basically the strategy for going is that if he's going to eat any Broken Wing damage, he wants to be sitting on top of his minions as much as possible and force Riven to push the lane. If he's denied from CS, he's going to have a hell of a time even picking up experience, given all the kill pressure coming out from Carry as he moves towards level 6. But if the lane's being pushed in, Cassian, actually with his W, quite good at CSing on the turret.
Yeah, you can see it's starting already, this wave being pushed up to the turret. The minions with some interesting health values going to make it a little bit difficult for going, but you're right. I mean, at least he can get some experience here as well. I mean, he wants to be scaling towards that late game when Riven not quite as powerful, but at the moment with a commanding lead in this lane.
I almost would have liked to see Carry take up Ignite, just because if he had Ignite, it would draw so much. It would basically monopolize the jungle pressure coming through from Loveland, and it would relieve the pressure from Dandy. Dandy's on this Hecarim. He wants to focus farming the jungle. When we saw Clearlove pick up the jungle Hecarim recently, he didn't even build a sight zone, of course, one of the standards of Clearlove's play, and he just focused on getting this bought time for him to get tanky in the jungle, hit level 6, and that's when he saw his first visitation to a lane. So they're not expecting a lot of jungle pressure coming through from Dandy. The teleport, look, Riven does do good burst damage and provide CC to a fight, but it's all about the side pushing. It's all about the 1v1 that prompts the Riven pickup.
Yeah, it's true. And Hatong actually having a fantastic time in this lane. Actually popped the passive of Cool here, who's been relegated to farming with his spells here as well. I mean, he's only 4 CS, 5 CS behind, and this wave is pushing into him, but Hatong has just been playing fantastically tonight.
It's also a very good laning matchup for Lissandra. Of course, she has the wave clear consistently, just spamming out that Q, so she can control the wave very well against the LeBlanc. You already mentioned her W can snare LeBlanc if she distorts into the wrong spot, and then she has the ultimate to either get the engage, get the pick onto LeBlanc when she initiates, or just have the defensive option. So she's so flexible. We're going to go for the...
Oh my goodness, there's the flash forward. The Ignite's ticking. Cool's going to die. 1v1 from Hatong in the mid lane. Beautiful work.
Hatong keeps turning these matchups on their head. The assassination comes from the Lissandra. Didn't even have level 6. Cool was probably not respecting the level 5 burst, but it comes through and just takes him down.
Yeah, and that was all within the time of that Ring of Frost as well. I mean, flashed into range for it, then easy EQ. And my gosh, it's just Cool's not having a great night tonight. Carry going aggressive onto Going, but he's falling low as well. Of course, Minions doing a decent amount of damage here, but we'll see how this Riven goes as this game moves forward. Does he have to have kill potential in this lane? Does he need to kill Going in order to stay ahead, or is it all about just putting on the pressure?
Well, he needs to apply map pressure, either draw jungle resources or start to get the kills, because the split push is where Riven is going to look excellent in the late game, and the team fights is all going to be about Kassadin. He's choosing to push, so he's not trying to deny CS. He's 1 minion dying away from 6. I don't know if he has enough damage with a flash engage, and now with the Riftwalk available, maybe he doesn't have the kill pressure he needs to pick up a kill.
Yeah, Carry does have that level 6 as well. That Wind Slash going to be available. Oh, gets the stun, but it's after the Riftwalk. As Carry comes through, and now things are going to be a lot more difficult as far as getting the kill in this Kassadin is concerned. Cool. Trying to get some control back in this lane. He's 15 CS down. Not looking fantastic. Has the Fiendish Codex. It's only going to be the Forbidden Idol in response here from Hatong as far as that extra item is concerned. Doesn't even have a Doran's Ring there, as he opted into that flask earlier.
We didn't mention it at all, but with the difference in jungle pressure, look at the CS advantage for Uzi. On these lane bullies, he always does well, but he's actually 22 CS up and growing. As in the bot lane, Going's fallen low and Carry's activated his ultimate.
Yeah, the Wind Slash is going to be available. He's taking so much damage. There's the flash into the Wind Slash, and Dandy, he manages to get it with a very interesting devastating charge.
Yeah, the devastating charge actually registered. I'm not sure about that interaction, but it picks up the kill nonetheless. Going to feel a little hard done by.
The damage actually goes down from a devastating charge as he launches at the target. And, yeah, just an interesting maneuver there.
Sad times for Kassadin.
Yeah, definitely. But that is going to be the kill, and it's going to help Carry get ahead, even though it's only an assist. He does need to do something like that. But one thing we didn't mention is Going's even on farm.
Going's even on farm because he's been pushed in. Remember, that was the decision made by Riven. She could try and hold the wave, but with the potential for range wave coming through from the Force Pulse, looked for kill pressure, couldn't balance harass without, and that's the thing that I was mentioning before, Going wants to stand in the minion wave, because if he ever tries to harass with the Q, he's also AoEing down the minions, and he's been able to farm quite happily. So even though it's a very strong laning matchup for Carry, the CS advantage goes to Going.
Yeah, not bad at all. I mean, he teleported back into that lane as well. Carry just wandered through, of course. Didn't want to waste it just because the wave wasn't crashing on his turret. Hatong now looking to make a play up into the top side, but Uzi and Cloud definitely aware of this maneuver with that ward that came through. Has been swept out now by Hatong.
We mentioned before the CS advantage for Uzi. It's significant, 22 CS. It's the difference in jungle pressure. Jarvan coming through from level 2 is something you need to fear. Dandy on this Hecarim, now they've shown level 6, okay, maybe a bit of jungle pressure, but the difference between the two and the ability for Uzi to play those lane-dominating champions, that's why I love to see him on the Caitlyn. He's one of the best Caitlyn players in the world, but we've only seen it from him once so far in the LPL, and he wrecked on that champion.
Yeah, it's true, and it's because he challenges for every single bit of farm that his opponent's going to go for, and What better champion to do that with than Caitlyn with her ridiculous range from a very early point in the game. Vasily, he has been back, picked up the components of that Phage and, of course, the Sheen as well, and is rotating down towards this bottom side of the map, wanting to get that dragon control into his back pocket.
Answering rotation going to come through from Uzi. Looks like he's going to wait and pick up. No, he actually changes his buy and goes for the Berserker's Greaves very early. Of course, he has a lot of turret damage with this build. Early attack speed, early AD. He's definitely looking in a good spot to potentially take down some turrets in rotation.
Yeah, Loveling now looking to head towards this mid lane, and Cool might be in a bit of trouble as Dandy and Hatong looking to put some pressure on. Carry moving down from this top side as well after pushing through that wave. And this blue buff now going to be under fire. 4 members of Vici Gaming going to be easily enough to lock down this one. Hatong picks that one up very easily. As Carry just going to head back towards this top side.
Despite a CS advantage and a solo kill, we see a 12 CS advantage coming through from Lissandra. No item advantage. He still has to play quite passively. No magic resist to deal with the strength of the LeBlanc. 600 extra gold in the pocket, but not enough to pick up a big item purchase yet.
Yep, Carry actually going aggressive onto Go-Going. Go-Going actually managing to answer that damage quite effectively here as well. Especially with that Catalyst that he's picked up as soon as he levels here. Not quite up to that stage, but as soon as he does, going to have a lot of that health back just because that Catalyst is such a good purchase for sustain.
He's not going to rush the Rod of Ages. He's actually going to move towards the Seeker's Arm Guard to provide a bit of armor. Maybe put the kind of last death knell in the potential of going for the solo kill, but the Flash ultimate comes in.
Yeah, there's the Flash Frozen Tomb, and Loveling, you are dead. Wind/Slash secures that one as Carry wants to start carrying. And Hatong just coming over the wall. I mean, Loveling knew that he was there, but just didn't think that he'd come over there and see him. Of course, that ward being placed very nicely.
Undoes a lot of Go-Going's good work. With the Seeker's Arm Guard, I thought the Wind/execution potential in a 1v1 sense with Riftwalk on such a low cooldown would have been negated, but just a bonus kill comes through as Loveling wanders to the wrong spot and is assassinated.
Yeah, he went for that Sightstone as well. Has now a Ruby Crystal on top of that. We'll see whether he goes for the Juggernaut, which could be potentially the option here, as Hatong now going to head back. 103 CS here in comparison to the 88. Cool has actually done some work in closing that gap off, but it's allowed Hatong to roam this map and get this Riven moving here in this top side.
Hatong has to be very careful with his picks, though, because he doesn't have a lot of magic resist. So if he uses the Frozen Tomb offensively on any target other than Cool, the assassination potential from Cool is very, very high.
Yeah, almost has that ability up yet again. This is the interesting thing about Hatong. We've seen him do it almost every single time. Goes for the Sorcerer's Shoes and not for the Lucidity Boots for the, very early maximum cooldown reduction. Is Cool. He's spotted Hatong, doesn't quite land the chain in order to finish the combo.
I mean, in the best case scenario, if you can guarantee yourself blue buff, you lose out on about 5% CDR, so maybe the extra magic penetration, the assassination potential on Cool is just fine. But of course, that does rely on picking up a consistent blue buff, so there is an inherent downside. You don't have permanent 40% CDR like the Lucidity Boots.
Yep, Carry's actually been taking wall lessons from Dandy here as well, as he didn't quite manage to use that Broken Wings to get over that one.
Oh, dear.
Oh, there's the Frozen Tomb. It's off cooldown, and of course, Hatong pays a visit to this top side. Dandy still manages to get an assist as Carry with his Wind/Slash up again as well. Able to take that one down. Really nicely done.
And that's the second time Devastating Charge has come up big, because I didn't even think he'd pick up an assist there. But again, the Devastating Charge damage goes through, doesn't quite get the kill secure, but gets involved in the kills. And the 1-0-1 to balance all the farming he's realistically been doing, he's doing just fine.
Yeah, I mean, hasn't actually managed to get ahead on the farm. Loveling, you have to think, has at least tried to do a little bit more. Vasily actually gets hit by the full combo of Cool. You might have to go back, but Carry, you're talking about pressure here on this top side, and this Riven definitely able to do that.
Yeah, the side lane pushes on by both Uzi and Riven. Honestly, very similar champions in the early game. Both 80 casters, both wanting as much flat attack damage as possible, both taking down turrets. It's going to become harder and harder for Riven to win in terms of a laning matchup. She's got the Tiamat now, so can definitely dominate a 1v1, but against Go-Going is a bit too slippery to really get in the assassination of him.
Oh, Cool actually coming over this wall as well. Dandy, did he manage to smite away that blue buff? I believe he did.
Have to check. Yes, that was actually smited away by Dandy. It's not ideal, so it's not Hatong picking up that CDR The lack of lucidity boots will hurt a little bit in terms of second rotation of spells and fights, but had to smite it away just to secure it as Corki finally picks up the Trinity Force.
Yeah, but that's going to mean that he's in base doing that, and the first Dragon going to go over to OMG here as well, and Vasily and the rest of Vici probably wanted to have some pressure on that earlier on.
And the pressure in terms of lanes is definitely going to come through by carries. Returning to lane with the Tiamat cannot hold the wave away from Gogoing. His only realistic option is to push the wave, which means for Gogoing he's going to be able to pick up more and more farm in the sidelines. He's backing now. The Rod of Age is going to come through. It's down bottom lane. Vasily actually goes for the solo kill on Uzi. Don't know if he has the closing distance to do it, but look who's coming to back him up.
Yeah, if you're talking about closing distance, that flash was beautiful, though. An Onslaught of Shadows not going to quite be enough, as teleport going to be cancelled from Gogoing, as you mentioned, has picked up that Rod of Age. Is going to be stacked by about 25 minutes, so a little bit late, but of course had to pick up the early cloth armor and the extra Amp Tomb there. Wanted to go for that Seeker's Arm Guard a little bit earlier than he otherwise would.
But look, I'm absolutely going to give Gogoing pass marks for being able to keep up in CS. Again, with the Tiamat relegated completely to push duty as carry, Cassidy should be able to farm, and you have to think, once that Rod of Age is completed, if he has the Zhonyas to back it up in 10 minutes time, Cassidy's going to be more impactful than Riven in a fight unless some serious face checking comes through from OMG.
Yeah, or carry can continue his snowball as 2-0-1. He's doing well at this stage. Carry gets spotted out by the little wolf spirit. A little bit frustrated to deal with when you're hanging around this blue side jungle.
Vasily, they really want this last of the outer rung of turrets. This is usually OMG's game plan, but this is what Vici and Vasily in particular have been focused upon in the last few weeks, getting those early structures. Not going to be able to pick up the outer turret in the bottom lane just yet, and Cool's looking for the assassination.
Yeah,
maybe
actually,
just a bit of poke.
Yeah, managed to get a cute little QR combo onto Hetong, but doesn't take off too much of his health. He's just going to pop some potions, and then he's going to be A-OK. 15 CS, still the lead here in the mid lane, and you can see Hetong's able to move around this map. 1-0-2, has been able to affect some kills. But cool, I mean, he's doing fine as far as getting back into this game is concerned. I mean, he's got the Blasting Wand on top of that Morellonomicon. He's got a lot of damage potential on the squishy members of Vici Gaming, and they don't have a reliable tank, especially not at this stage of the game.
And it's worth knowing that despite the fact that Vasily's still significantly behind, but no, we're seeing a kill.
There's the answering damage through from Hetong. Loveling smites him to death, though, and somehow Cool is still alive there in the back line. Uzi just quick draws right into the middle of the fight, but Dandy, he's trapped him out. Mada's going to secure that one. It's actually going to be Vasily getting the damage down, but that box was positioned beautifully. And I thought OMG were going to come out the victors on that side, but only Hetong falling in response to the bottom lane of OMG.
It was a picture-perfect onslaught of shadows. That long-range AoE initiate paid dividends, and Vasily, he has the Trinity Force. That's the big factor, is that although he was well held, still about 26 CS behind Uzi, if you can use that item effectively, get those burst trades down with the Trinity Force procs, you can still clean up a fight.
Oh, yeah, and extra damage coming through from those rockets as well from long range when he was so safe and yet still had so much damage potential. Very, very scary. Hetong has actually gone back to base and picked up that needlessly large rod now as well, looking to pick up the Zhonya's Hourglass so that maybe not so much of that insta-kill going to be happening. And he will be able to get another round of spells off, of course. If he can get a couple of Rings of Frost down in these fights, things could go very, very badly for OMG. And see whether he can do that reliably. Gogoing now has a CS advantage in his top lane matchup, so I mean, that's new.
Once you have Tiamat, you know, early in the game he was pushing just to try to get harassed damage, and of course just couldn't stop the wave from pushing to Gogoing. Once you have Tiamat, that's the reality. Gogoing's going to pick up a lot of CS. We were waiting for 10-stack Rod of Ages, potentially the Zhonyas coming through. That might change the game, because although it'll be a double Zhonyas, one on Cassidy and one on Lissandra, you have to remember the front line for Vici does damage and damage only. That's what you're going to see from carry. You can see impressive top lane damage, but still a melee carry. Still will struggle in those late game team fights.
Yeah, carry though, I mean, now that he has that Hydra completed, even though Cool is actually coming towards his top side, not going to be distracted by that pink ward as he wants to kill carry. Distorts into him as well. He's holding onto the Mimic Distortion. Cool actually taking a lot of damage. Cloud using that Monsoon to try and help him out. Windslash no longer available, but flashes in for it, picks up the kill under Cool. Carry with some sweet mechanics. And it's a 1-for-1 in the end.
The Riven mechanics may be familiar to solo queue players, but the kills are on.
Oh my goodness, Uzi just gets eliminated there as that Dark Passage gets Hetong right in range. for the Frozen Tomb. He can't flash out of the way of that one, especially not with it on cooldown. And my gosh, I mean, Uzi probably thought, hang on, why am I dead?
And Cool just disrespected the flash being up from Riven. Of course, you can cancel, animation cancel, get the knock up or the knock back available from the last part of the queue, and picks the exit kill in a 1v3. It's going to take a long time to take this top turret. We'll eventually get it, but the pressure of the map, as is so often the case with Vici, is certainly in their advantage. 4-1 in turrets, soon to be 4-2, but a significant global pressure advantage to Vici Gaming.
Yeah, they answer with the top outer turret here from Going, who's starting to scale up in this game halfway through that Rod of Ages stack as Atong picks up that blue buff here as well. He's going to go back, possibly finish off that Zhonya's Hourglass. And now Vici Gaming looking to pick up their first dragon.
We're still waiting for Danny to transition into a tank. He has the Ruby Crystal, another Ruby Crystal on top of the Kindle Gem. So still just a bit of cost-effective health. He has good offense with the Warrior enchant complete, but it isn't the Juggernaut. He's not super tanky in the front line. So need to be careful. They need to get the first burst trade. They need to combo the Onslaught of Shadows with a lot of AoE magic damage from Hatong and Carry, with Vasily just getting those Trinity Force procs in. Because in an extended fight, they don't have much of a front line. So to be fair, I mean, Loveling actually did up to for the Juggernaut, so we'll be able to be a little bit more of a frontline tank at this point.
Yeah, he does now have the Ninja Tabi there as well, as Vici Gaming looking to start off this dragon, which has just spawned. Carry coming down here as well. 3-1-1 now on this Riven. And, you know, blue buff is going to distract the members of OMG.
It's worth noting, of course, that Loveling was still in base. You know, he just bought the Ninja Tabi, so wasn't in position to contest for this first dragon. The percentage stats are going to help. You'd have to say Carry in particular. This is one of the more overtuned for damage teams that we've seen so far. Basically 5 members, well, 4 members attempting for damage, and Mana just looking for hooks wherever he can. But a lot of damage across the board on this Vici lineup. They're not going to have the tankiness. One false team fight, if they ever get to a position where Carry's just kind of negated in terms of team fights, they'll definitely start to go on a downward trend, unless this Hecarim can really become a one-man tanky front line from the jungle.
Yeah, Hatong now actually going for a bit of a split push Lysandra situation. Was looking for a pick coming through there, but didn't actually manage to find anyone. Instead clears out this wave, and that's hitting the inhibitor turret now. Vici, with so much map pressure this game, you can see there's a lot of sort of topside wards focused on the map here from OMG. That big one just ripped Cloud to pieces.
You can definitely see the difference between Uzi's Graves and other Graves players. Definitely not the Bloodthirster Graves. Looking to hard carry, looking to a lot of late game team fight damage, but doesn't have the opportunity to do maybe as aggressive positioning when taking turrets. And it's not a long-ranged OMG lineup. There's a lot of 500 range or shorter auto attackers. Their siege is pretty poor, and because they haven't rotated ideally in the early game, because Uzi's basically been focusing on farming rather than taking down turrets with rotations, this Graves is definitely going to fall off in terms of impact unless he can live through these difficult team fights.
Yeah, it's going to get very, very tough, especially when Hatong is able to close so much distance with that Glacial Path. Cool now looking to get some damage down to Carry, who has the opportunity to stun him up, but the chains land, and Carry, mate, he almost got solo killed there by Cool. I don't even think Loveling was necessary.
I mean, Loveling was completely unnecessary, and that's the reality of Riven. If you get flanked, if you get instant burst by an assassin, you're effectively a frontline AD carry. Do a lot of damage in a sustained fight. You have so much AoE lifesteal coming through from the Ravenous Hydra, but you die in one burst from Cool.
Yeah, especially if you get locked down as well by that the chain tether. Ethereal chains, as it were. Going to continue the split push here on the bottom side of the map.
He wants the Zhonyas. He wants the Zhonyas before he shows up to any fights. Just go going.
Yeah, and what do you think of the Lucidity boot pick up here as well?
I think it's interesting. I mean, it's going to let him get that second Force Pulse out during a fight, and maybe even the burst of shielding coming out from the Q. It's risky on Castellan because it might price you into going to a very early 3rd or 4th Rift Walk, and this stacking up too early on that ability. Of course, the mana cost becomes overwhelming very early into the game. But I guess it's just a case that, you know, against a Riven especially, he does realistically have the chance to die during the cooldown of Rift Walk. Not a lot of champions can 100-0 at Cassidy during a 4-second window, but Riven, one of those champions.
Yeah, you certainly can, especially if you manage to stun him at the end of it, or chuck in a knock up there as well, as Carry has a fair bit of CC, especially when he's right in your face available to him. Doesn't quite have the last Whisper completed. You have to think that that's going to be the next item that he's going to be going for. He's now down almost 30 CS here as well, 24 in favor of going, but you can see Carry still managing to put on as much pressure as he likes just because he can insta-clear these waves.
Yeah, the flexibility of more recent Riven builds hasn't really been there. The Tiamat has definitely become the go-to de facto, and the fact that he's been pushing has allowed Gogoing to pick up a lot of CS. Not quite enough for the Zhonya's just yet, but I believe he's 20 gold short. It's going to come up before the next big team fight and be very significant. Vasily takes a nice burst of damage coming through from LeBlanc.
Yeah, Cool still able to do LeBlanc's job in this game. As there's the flash play from Mata. Not sure why. Looking for Loveling, but the flag and drag timing too quick.
So it doesn't have the ability to go for that flash death sentence, which can really turn a fight, as we've seen in previous games today. Very defensive build coming up from Vasily, but it ensures massive rocket damage and a bit of tankiness with the Bloodthirster shield.
Yeah, Cool actually throwing a combo onto Dandy there. Takes about half of his health. Is Cloud going to answer with a bit of a W onto the back of Mata? It looked very, very cute, like he was Cool's little protege. Like, yeah, I'll do it as well.
Dandy seems to have no, very indecisive about what damage he's taking, basically stacking health the most cost-effective ways possible. Can't stack Kindle Gems, sadly. That's not an interaction that works, so can't get to 40% CDR that way, but seems very confused as to what he needs to build next.
Yep, Carry just going to dance away from this one here as well. And yeah, you're right. It looks like he's trying to build a juggernaut of his own.
Maybe the Warmogs, you know, that does build out of quite a few ruby crystals, but...
or a Banshee's Veil here as well.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of options. You know, at the moment, he doesn't need to double down neither the armor or magic resist. And just stacking health so that he can hopefully do an Onslaught of Shadows, maybe get a second Devastating Charge out for a bit of CC, and just spell vamp it up with the Spirit of Dread.
Yeah, and just wants to be a nuisance here in this fight as well. And if you Hecarim, pretty good at being a nuisance, most definitely. Probably should have gone the Arcade Hecarim skin as well so he can make some stupid noises in these fights as well.
Getting a lot of purchase out of his teleport. We saw the previous teleport to try and kill Uzi under turret, which drew the flash out of Uzi. But he's got the teleport on. You have to think someone should be split pushing with double teleport, but everyone grouped as the Baron pressure begins.
Yeah, and Carry actually going to start this one up. Of course, Vici Gaming have a lot of damage on this Baron, and they've got exclusive vision at the same time. OMG, they're busy doing the blue buff, and Mata just going to pop a box down, and 3,000 health. This Baron's going to fall. Oh my goodness, that was very, very close. Dandy managed to secure it though and kill Loveling. There's the Onslaught of Shadows. Going though, able to get into this fight as Mata somehow manages to sidestep that collateral damage. And Hatong, he's just going to escape. OMG trying to clean up this one, and Uzi picks up a triple kill for it, and Atong doesn't even make it out. They get the Baron, but everyone's dead.
Definitely not worth it. Giving up an ace when they had a stranglehold on the game, the magic resist debuff, and just the fact that they were trying an early Baron, everyone got low, and with the AoE damage coming through from OMG, they cleaned it up in an instant.
Yep, it was beautiful, and Uzi aggressively flashing over that wall, picks up the kill onto... Vasily there as well, and you saw them all just cowering in the back of that Baron pit. Nothing Vici could do at that stage when they were in such low health. And we expect these sort of aggressive plays here in China, but didn't quite pay off for Vici.
But look at how much it paid off for OMG. 2 turrets, including an outer top turret. Okay, they don't get the Baron buff. They miss out on the 1,500 gold that went to Vici. But the massive gold lead for Vici has been arrested. And remember, this is a Riven comp. Whenever Riven gets behind or gives away a bounty or even bonus experience, you get closer and closer to a late game situation where without specific timing and maybe even flash, it's very hard to fight with a Riven team.
Yeah, Mata might get caught out here just a little bit, but the teleport in from Carry is going to mean that he's very, very close. Descent's actually landing on Going here as well. He gets stunned up just a little bit as Carry tries to close the distance. There's the shield to come through. Onslaught of Shadows gets a nice spear, but Carry's going to fall down. Loveling just slam dunks him with that Cataclysm, and Mata is in so much trouble. Death Sentence goes wide. Dandy is going to get finished off by Loveling after that flash, and Going. He's going to fall down. Vasily now with a couple of kills. A triple kill now for this Corki. But Uzi finds his way into the fight. There's the collateral damage. Beautiful Zhonya's Hourglass from Hatong. He might be able to get another round of spells. But Vasily now has to contend with the very angry Uzi on this Graves, who's looking to hunt down this Corki. He doesn't find him, but I'd be frightened if I was Vasily.
Quick Draw just not available off cooldown to get the last auto attack with red buff to kill off Vasily. First to rotate was Vasily, picked up a triple kill, almost the answering double coming through from Uzi. Just lucky that he rotated late, but this game is completely on a knife's edge. Look at all the statistics. 4-4 in turrets, even in gold. So even, but with a Riven, I think it's an advantage to OMG.
Yeah, identical gold, identical kills, and identical turrets. And pretty much close to identical dragons here as well, as I believe it's OMG in the lead by just one. But here's the replay.
It was a huge ride coming through from Marta to get in on the death sentence, but this is the awkward part. When Carry realizes they doesn't have kill potential to get onto the backline, takes a huge burst of damage and dies. That's the lack of identity that Riven has in a team fight if she's already used all her Q charges. Vasily's the first to rotate, and we remember there's going to be a triple kill here. They overextend to get the kill on Dandy, and when the rotation comes through from Hatong, particularly the ult onto Cool, instant triple kill. But Uzi is the last person to enter the fight. Easy to clean up Hatong with all the burst damage coming through. The zone is only going to buy time, and Vasily had to hightail it away with Uzi so strong.
Yeah, Vasily not going to be able to answer that massive Graves, as we do have the Spirit Visage completed here for Dandy, so that Spirit of Dread going to be giving him a lot of his health back. And we do have Carry now with that last Whisper. He did have that one for the last fight, but I'm looking at Going. Almost has the Abyssal Scepter completed as well, and when Carry has no magic resist to speak of, Going's almost going to be doing true damage to him.
I think it's just disrespectful of a Riven player to not build Hex Drinker in a game against LeBlanc. LeBlanc's one of the best champions to deal with a Riven, because if there's any sort of vision advantage, you can insta-burst Carry 100-0, even through potentially the E shield coming through from Riven. So it's a nice brush camp coming through, but doesn't look like OMG are ready to buy the bait just yet.
Yeah, Vasily trying to look tasty there in the mid lane as Cool's going for a bit of a split push situation here on the bottom side. Devastating charge being looked for here from Dandy, but that Howling Gale was fantastic. Cloud ends the party very early as the battle for pink wards now commences. OMG winning that war as Cool heading back towards this mid lane. And OMG now feel like they have the pressure. They've pulled ahead by 600 gold, which is absolutely nothing to talk about at 32 minutes into this game. And Vici looking to go back, maybe looking for some item timings. We don't have the Void Staff yet completed for Hatong. That's got to come through if he can, before he can really delete some players off this map. And you can see that Cool, he's managed to get sort of that trinity of perfect items for a LeBlanc.
And speaking of trinity of damage items, look at Graves, Infinity Edge, Bloodthirster, and a Phantom Dancer. Actually, if in terms of gold, only about 600 gold ahead of Vasily, but Vasily spent so much gold on Banshee Veil, he needs to be aggressive with his positioning in fights and force Uzi onto the back foot. Otherwise, that's 2,700 gold spent on defense. If Uzi can just pump out the damage in the front line, it's all negated.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about this as well is that we're dealing with two multi-threat comps here as well. I mean, you've got Kassadin, Riven, you've got Lissandra and LeBlanc here as well. There is so much damage, and these junglers are being relied on so heavily to be tanks. And Loveling, you have to think, is just doing a little bit of a better job. What with that Juggernaut pickup early on? He knew that he was going to be relegated to damage soak, and he's really done well.
It was kind of just a bit of a questionable decision to pick up the Warrior Enchant for Dandy. I mean, obviously Rampage, the Q does physical damage, but it's not a lot of physical damage otherwise on the kit. Against this lineup, as a soul tank, you're not going to be able to get too many Rampages off on a fight, even with the cooldown reduction mechanic it has. I think you would have got a lot more purchase out of picking up a Juggernaut and matching Loveling. I feel like Loveling definitely has the advantage in teamfights just from that extra 500 health.
Yeah, and Going does have to deal with this gigantic wave in the top lane. Vici Gaming, they know about it. They are going to put some pressure towards this mid, as Force Pulse is going to make short work of these creeps. What with that Rift Walk available as well.
For once, Vici's map is actually pretty bare for wards. They haven't got any pink wards on the map at all, as we're just finally seeing a lot of OMG's pink wards start to be clearing out. The one pink ward on the map does go down. They need to get the pink wards down. They have inventory space to do it. But Vici, in terms of exclusive vision, they're definitely at a premium.
Yeah, Loveling gonna have that Banshee's Veil propped as Hatong just launches himself into the backline. Windslash not gonna find Cool as he comes back in, but there's the Zhonya's, and Hatong with a beautiful outplay is gonna die for it afterwards as Uzi picks up that kill. Collateral damage after every member of Vici, and Carry flashes forward. Uzi gonna use his QSS here as well. He's playing beautifully in the backline. Vasily now all on his own, gonna get knocked up from that standard. And Q from Loveling. Going picks up that kill, and 3 are dead for Vici OMG looking much better.
Yeah, Carry really needed to get the clutch flash W on Uzi, but he already has the QSS completed, was able to get out of that CC, continue the fight, and once Riven's first burst rotation was down, she offers so little. The rest of the team scatters. Vasily goes too aggressive trying to get damage to validate his Banshee Veil pickup, and they're going to lose the inhibitor.
Yeah, inhibitor going to fall down. I mean, Hetong has picked up a blasting one towards that Void stuff, but hasn't come in quickly enough, and pickaxe now for Vasily, but they've lost this inhibitor at this stage, and OMG are just really starting to outscale Vici by all intents and purposes.
I'm just so impressed with GoGoing's play in this Kassadin versus Riven matchup. On paper, it's a terrible matchup, but just because he was able to bait Riven into pushing, as we see the death sentence come through, Lissandra could take this Lantern.
Yeah, looking to try and get in here and stop Uzi, of course. His QSS not off cooldown just yet. He does get unstunned, but he is going to die from Hetong here before GoGoing can answer at all. Of course, managed to take a lot of damage off a lot of these members as Cool's poking in with a bit here at the same time. This Baron is what Vici are really looking to take down, as Uzi is going to be dead for another 34 minutes.
Vici can't really commit to the Baron because look at the side minion waves pushing into the massive minion wave in the top lane pushing from OMG. Equally massive minion wave pushing in the bottom lane. Carry does have teleport. Danny needs to use Zoldyma just to get away. No flash available, of course, with the teleport. And you have to think, apart from the one teleport usage, not got a lot out of this summoner choice.
Yeah, not at all. Cool actually takes a lot of damage from that rocket for Vasily, but third dragon is going to be taken here from OMG. Nothing that Vici can do about it, and Cool over the wall secures the dragon nicely. Uzi has respawned here as well, and Vici, they sort of lost their little window of pressure while that AD carry was down. Carry, and as you can see, just in this bottom side of the map, just wants to try and organize their waves, stack them up so that OMG has to deal with them, and Vici can have a little bit more control around this Baron area. So far, OMG's vision control has just been so much better, though.
I can only imagine that because he has a top lane AD carry, that Vasily felt like he was freed up to build a third item Banshee value, to move towards away from damage with a third item. But now we get to a situation where Graves has an embarrassment of AD items. Infinity Edge, Bloodthirster, Last Whisper, and a Phantom Dancer. Even has the QSS for defense. Once his flash is up, it feels like he's safer in some degrees than Vasily, just because he puts out so much damage that the Bloodthirster double scales with to some degree. And relying on carry for damage when his flash is down is very, very risky from Vici. So Trinity Force, Bloodthirster, and just a pickaxe, you cannot compare this Corki to Uzi in terms of damage.
Yeah, Cool just hanging out, looking to get a pick here. You can see OMG just have so much damage available. Vasily has barely had his Banshee's Veil on him this whole game, just getting popped left, right, and center from OMG. Marty getting caught out here just a little bit. Look at the burst damage coming through. And the collateral damage from Uzi, of course, just wants to try and pick up the kill. Doesn't even get an assist for it, as Loveland going to come through, and this could be OMG's easy Baron, unless Vici can make a heroic move. But they do take the Baron down, and we'll see whether OMG can answer with some more kills. There's Hetong actually going very aggressive under GoGoing. Oh my god, Dandy just gets destroyed. Carry now. Uzi going 1v1 with a Riven. Easily wins that fight as well, as GoGoing's going to take down Vasily. Hetong on no health. Baroned up minions heading down the mid lane. And OMG, it was a more difficult game, but they answer back for the 1-1, I think, against Vici Gaming.
Yeah, we saw the early laning. It was going wonderfully well for Vici. They had a significant advantage, but GoGoing's the real star. Able to output so much damage, so much more relevant in fights. Carries Riven. We talked about late game Riven. It was basically anonymous.
Yeah, there's some very cute stuff coming through there, but Marta pays for it with his life at the end. It doesn't matter, though. OMG with the victory in the end against a Vici Gaming that was looking fantastic in the early stages of that game. Of course, looked unstoppable in the first one, but unable to take the victory.
Yeah, it was a closer game than the first game in the series, but it's an important victory for OMG. First victory with Uzi in 3 matches. The Uzi Cloud duo, so much more impressive that time. And Uzi on Grey is not normally an Uzi champion, but able to go that more selfish, late-game focused build, got it really fast, and validated the aggression over the defensive Banshee Veil choice coming out of Vasily.
Yeah, and Vasily, sort of, with that item choice, almost sealed their fate, you have to think, because I mean, that Banshee's Veil was just so easily popped by the members of OMG. They were doing it every single time. It was LeBlanc popping over, you know, throwing a sigil at him. didn't really have any effect in these fights, and it was just beautiful execution in the late game from OMG.
Absolutely. They're just relying too much on that Riven damage. A Riven in the late game just was stuck between targets, only could engage with Flash to close the distance, was well disengaged with the Flash QSS coming through from the Graves, and just had no effect in the fights. And that's, again, why we don't see a lot of Riven. Gets camped in lane, has to push if she looks for trades, which, of course, open up so much CS for going. And Kassadin versus Riven in the late game, easy choice.
Yep, and going playing that masterfully as well. He never really looked behind at all in that lane. Really lovely stuff. And ladies and gentlemen, that is going to bring us to the end of the night here, of course. On behalf of myself, Papa Smithy, Pastry Time, and of course our whole production crew, thank you so much for